Okay, so when we talk about human resources and we specifically talk about organizational development, we are basically talking about the changes. We are basically talking about the improvisation, and we are talking about some policy development. And when we are talking about development, we are talking about changes. We are actually looking forward for the improvement. We are actually talking about the improvement. And when we are talking about improvement, it is something which is not a one-time process. It's a continuous process. So when we talk about continuous improvement, there are two people who are doing wonders in this field, and we are very honored that they are with us, and they are going to share the wonderful insights and experience that they bring along with them in this field. And these two people are Mohammed Khurram and Miss Valerie Hendricks. And I welcome both of you in the webinar. Thank you so much for joining in. And I hope the audience joining in, have a good time and they benefit from the discussion that we go from. Just to have a little introduction of, Khurram brings with himself 15 years plus of experience. He's an industrial engineer, and he has been currently leading the supply chain department at a very reputed organization in Pakistan. So, and currently he has also started his in a consultancy initiative as lean consultant. So it's wonderful. And we are very, very honored that Ms. Valerie Hendricks has also joined in us for this session. She has 12 plus years of experience in the field of continuous improvement. And she has also started with her own consultancy firm, which is by the name of Dynamic Empire Consulting. And it's been 4 years and more when she has been running this consultancy initiative of hers successfully. And today we are going to benefit from the experiences and the insights that she's going to share on this matter. So I welcome both of you. And good afternoon, Valerie.
Thank you, Shala. Thank you.
I hope I have not missed out on anything important that highlights your both of your professional expertise.
No, not at all. Thank you so much for having us.
No problem, no problem. Valerie has joined all the way from USA, so it's midday for her, and it's a night time for people in Pakistan and UAE. After this month of Ramadan, everybody is relaxing. So I hope everybody can contribute to this. Okay, so I'll start off with a presentation, and whoever we have with us will just see how they can respond to us. I'll share my screen as well. I'll just present this. Okay, so when we are talking, we have always been talking about setting the strategy, setting the direction, setting the vision, mission, and goals and objective for our organization. But we usually often miss out on this part, that what should be the frequency of setting it up. Like how frequently we should revisit it. Once we have set it, either we should go for 1 to 3 years, either we should go for 5 to 10 years, either we should go for 15 to 20 years, or we should not revisit it at all, and we should once just set it up and that's it, and we don't visit this. I would request the audience to share their opinion on this, that how do they think, what should be the frequency of revisiting it, and for how long we should set it. Let's see what the audience have to say on this. You can drop it in the chat box. Whoever is live with us, you can drop it in the chat box and see what do you think is the frequency. Do we have somebody with us live on Facebook as well? Okay, currently. Okay, so what do you think, Khurram and Valerie? What do you think? What should be the frequency of it? We should not visit it at all currently.
Actually, Shahla, usually it should be vision and mission and objectives made at the start, and usually objective leading to the vision and mission. But it should be reviewed after 1 year, and most of the industries doing SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. That's after setting the next year goal. Usually, it is it is made by the cross-functional team like supply chain, human resource, production, engineering, and all the top leading management, top tier management list down the strengths. What are the strengths of the companies? Either it's based on the product, either it's based on the team capabilities, either it's based on the services, and after strength, they have what are the weaknesses. Weaknesses mean either their competitors are strong, their financials are not good, or market shares are losing. Sometimes of these types of weaknesses some of the organizations have. And threats mean like here commonly, and everyone knows that COVID is the unforeseen situation, and everyone not foreseeing this before in 2021. Not everyone 2020 and 2019, no one forecast that this situation will be happening. No one incorporate this type of challenges in their objectives, in their goals. And again, we have some opportunities like IT industry, some other industries that have medical industries that have major benefits over this COVID situation. So it should be reviewed at anyhow at after 1 year, that what are the your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this should be based on this. You have to weightage your key numbers, and then you can settle down your objective by maximum numbers. What are the maximum numbers? So I think now in this situation, it should be better that it should be done by after 6 months, because the situation is rapidly changing, and situations are not same like before, that we are doing after an year, and most of the things are going smoothly. But now COVID are changing everything and affecting everyone business, FMCG, medical, textile, IT, XYZ. So that's my opinion, Shaila.
Thank you so much for sharing wonderful insight, Khurram. We really do agree that with the dynamic changes the market is bringing to us these days, and especially post-pandemic, I think it has become extremely important for us to revisit the vision at least 3 times at least one time in 3 years. And I would ask Valerie, what do you think? How often we should visit it, and what is the first thing do you think we should do after we are done with the planning of the strategy? Like once we have devised the vision, mission, and objectives of the organization, what is the first thing we should plan after doing this?
Yes. First off, the frequency of the planning is basically, in a perfect world, I believe that if we were all living in a perfect world, we would only need to visit our mission, vision, and statement objectives when we have completed the previous objectives. Unfortunately, we do not live in a perfect world. We always have strategies and markets and changing markets. And depending on the business, how disciplined we are actually towards moving towards those missions and objectives. So basically, I always suggest that organizations at least check on and change their objectives and strategies yearly, annually. However, depending on how disciplined your organization is and how far you can actually meet those objectives, you may have to change them throughout the year. Also, like Mohammed said, was talking about the changes due to the market because of situations we cannot control, such as COVID or different marketing trends where we have a downward trends and we can't control those. So we need to look at those closer towards a year, maybe every 3 to 6 months during those time periods. And first thing that needs to be planned after you have those vision, missions and objectives completed is to provide a development and implementation plan, and we're using these to set up basically how this is going to be communicated throughout the organization, as well as how they're going to be completed by each and every individual or department, and what the timeline and deadline is to complete those objectives. Thank you, Sheila.
That's wonderful. It's so true. When we are done with the devising of the strategy, we have to formulate the individual plans. Plus, we also need to see that who are actually going to execute it. So when we know that who are going to execute it, it's not going to be always the robots who are going to do it. We still need the manpower to execute our objectives, to take our vision to the level where it can be achieved. So what is often neglected is the planning of the manpower, which is usually neglected. It's like every time we are doing, most of the time, haphazard kind of manpower planning, and we do not give due importance to it. We are like, okay, we are going to hire manpower as and when it is required, and we do not give much importance to it. So when we are talking about the devising the strategy, when we are talking about how we are going to plan the manpower for the rest of the year, Param, can you share with us, because you have such a vast experience, can you share with us any organization that you have come across during your work tenure or your consultancy period where the organization has not given much importance to the manpower planning, and either they had excess manpower or they were facing shortage of manpower because it was
Yes,
not planned properly initially?
yes, recently I have faced this issue from one of the organization that I was working with a company who is opening a new department, and he hired about 35 to 50 persons for this particular department. And usually you know that when we are initiating anything, costing is very important. So they hired 50 almost 50 skilled manpower for particular this new department, and this new departments make some new product and exporting to some other countries. So when I am studying the whole operations of this department, I have analyzed that only 30 manpower has been required for this particular department, but the company management did not calculate the how did manpower requirement. They just simply draw the processes. They just simply hire the manpower and did not calculate the workload analysis. Workload mean how many workers pieces, how much pieces produce in a single minute in a in per day production. So that's why their manpower cost has been increasing from the starting from December 2020. So after 1 month, February 2021, I have given the proposal to the management that we are running this department over excessive manpower of 20-25 persons. And we have first of all calculate the workload, educate the team, and run the systems as per their required capacities. So usually this will be happen when you are not calculating the manpower process wise or product wise, what they are manufacturing or what they are producing. So this will happenly usually in that organization where industrial engineering concepts are not working, or who are not pre-working and calculating everything like process study, method study, manpower study, and other studies like what are the material wastages, what are the utility cost incurred, XYZ. So this will be happen. And one of the most important factor is manpower, because this cost is due to the company. Either it is producing less pieces, or either excessive pieces.
Okay. See, thank you, Khurram. You have shared such a wonderful example, and this is a live example that you have experienced yourself during your work time period over there in the organization. And I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of organizations who are also exactly facing the same issue. Uh, Valerie, at this point in time, I would like to ask you that when we are talking about the strategy and how you have also shared the importance of revisiting it, can you share with us the example of any organization that you have seen fading away from the market just because it could not keep up with the changing trends and it could not anticipate the dynamics of the market, and they didn't pay much attention to revisiting their objectives and changing? Have you seen, can you share with the audience any live example of it?
GE, who produces anywhere between medical to car parts, to different objectives. You can see them that did have a very famous Jack Welch, who was very famous CEO for GE, who put their company basically into a lean organization. And the organization was very much thriving throughout Jack Welch's career. And unfortunately, Jack Welch had decided to retire. And when he did retire, the objectives that were placed within the organization had fallen through because of different situations of the lean organization was moving less towards lean. They weren't exactly developing a situation where they were developing new product developments, which is a big innovation towards GE, and as well as how their business and organization was structured to new sales. So in that aspect, they did not prioritize their objectives to be and allowing more innovation towards their employees to develop new and innovative products. So unfortunately, during that time span that they were unable to move the objectives quicker and further into what they needed to do to survive during the Jack Welch era. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So thank you so much, Valerie, for sharing your experience. I'm sure audience listening to us are benefiting from these real life examples. And see, it's not just the bookish thing that is being projected or that is being told or that is being given awareness of. It's actually different things that are happening in the market and in the industry. And if you don't keep up with the current trends, or if you don't follow the basics, you are definitely going to fade away as an organization. And this is why I have also designed this solution of mine, which is the manpower planning. It's the triangle of the manpower planning. And it involves talking about three main aspects of it, because the manpower planning is not something that, okay, I am starting a new plant and I'm going to hire 50. It's not something that is done haphazardly. It has to be completely aligned from top to bottom. And if on the top the strategy is not designed properly, it's not going to help you in achieving the overall objective. Maybe you will incur a lot of cost when you are going to achieve these objectives, or maybe you are not going to achieve it with that much of perfection. So it's not something very complicated, that for this you need to have a big team who is going to, you know, give hundreds of days to implement it. You just need to be very clear. What is the time frame for which you are setting it up? What will be the applicability of it? What are the core values that you are looking at? And when you are setting up the mission, you need to see that what is going to be your target market. Because whenever you are hiring the employees, you need to give them a very clear direction, what the company wants to achieve in the future and what role you are going to play. The more you make a formulated decision, the more you do the planning at the top part, it definitely gives a sense of ownership to the employees joining in. Because then they will also, you need to set it up and then you need to communicate as well. If there is nothing set up properly at the start, at the top of the organization, definitely there is nothing to be communicated at the down level as well. And when you don't communicate something, nobody owns the vision with which you have started up an organization, be it a big, be it a small enterprise, whatever it is. You need to have very clear that what is your specialty that you are going to order, or that you are going to offer to the market. What kind of employees do you need for your organization? Then again, if we are talking about the objectives, it's like what kind of objectives are we going to set? You know, why we are setting up the objectives, how we are going to achieve it, what is the time frame, what kind of goals are we setting. So this compact solution I have come up with is extremely important when you are doing the manpower planning, and it is something that again goes on into a continuous process. It's again not something which is done one time in a year, or one time in 10-15 years and then we sit back and laid back on it. No, it has to be revisited more often so that we keep having a reality check as to where we are and, you know, what we need to do further, so that before you fade away, you actually adopt to that change, the change required changes that you need to bring in to stay in the market and to stay above your competitors. So I'll just admit there's somebody who has joined in. Um, I'll just invite somebody. Yes, it's somebody has joined us by the name of Hummas Shokat. So I'll just I will just enter them. Okay, so when we are talking about the implementation of this, we have to look into it, that what are the benefits it's going to bring. It's the a PPC benefit that on the most core we achieve when we implement this. Now, everybody must be wondering, what is this PPC framework? It's like planned and budgeted hiring at the very start. The first thing that we're achieving is the planned and budgeted hiring. Because when we have a planned and budgeted hiring, we know that for the entire year, we are going to have these much of resources that we will take on board. We will also design that, you know, this is the budget of the organization and these much resources are to be hired on this much of salary scale, which obviously gives us a financial picture of the organization as well. And we don't end up hiring somebody with a very high pay scale. We might need a department or an objective for which we might need a fresh graduate with a fresh mind. And if we end up hiring somebody who is very experienced into it, it might give additional cost to the organization, plus we are not going to achieve what is required out of it. The other benefit that I foresee and which helps the organization is the peace of mind that we give to the recruiters. You see, whenever anybody is handling the recruitment in any organization, they need to have peace of mind in order to do the market research properly. And once they do the market research properly, then only they are able to find a good candidate for the required position. If you give a lot of pressure to the recruitment team and there is a haphazard way and there's a pressure that is given to the recruitment team by the line managers and the HODs that we need to fill in this vacant position and just quickly fill in this position. So definitely the person who is taken on board might not be very competent, might not be a very competent resource for that particular position. So this is very important that we give due importance to it. And the last one, although there are many benefits, but to just sort out the main benefits, C is for the cultural fit. See, it's very important that whoever you hire for your organization has to be a best cultural fit according to your organization. If you, if, for example, if you hire an Oxford graduate, a graduate from an Oxford University, and you put them in a microfinance bank in Pakistan, it is definitely not going to work because the combination is not workable. That is a graduate who has a lot of creative ideas and they are not habitual of going down the line. Whereas when you talk about microfinance banks, specifically in Pakistan, they are targeting the lower segment of the society. And when you are talking or when you are interacting with the lower segment of the society, you need to go down to their level in order to explain your product, in order to explain what you are selling, in order to convince them with the benefits of what you are selling. Because they are the segment of the society who's not much educated. So you can't expect them to come up to your level. So a person maybe who is coming up between them, who is educated, can actually communicate with them, can actually has an idea of the main points which will help in selling. So you definitely need to have a right culture. A person maybe who is not at all flexible, you cannot hire such person because then you will have issues with the person adjustment. And when the person is not culturally fit into your organization, they will always keep on looking for some other kind of jobs. And it's basically incurring a lot of cost for the organization. They are not helping you achieve those objectives. So when we are talking about, see, when we started, we talked about the strategy, the making, the first thing of doing the manpower planning. And when we've talked about the benefits also, now it's a continuous process. It's a continuous improvement process. So I would ask Khurram that if you could share, what do you think a continuous improvement cycle is, or what are the steps involved into it? Can you share with the audience, Khurram?
Yes, actually, continuous means, as everyone knows, that there is somewhat aided whenever it is needed. For example, if we see that there is a common cycle: plan, do, check, and act. This cycle is means whenever you have plan, you will do, and whatever you are doing, you will check accordingly whatever you have planned, and then take action accordingly. And after complete a cycle, uh, you have to do again what are the results, what are the challenges, what are the failures you have been faced during this complete cycle. So again you have to run this PDCA cycle. This there is a multiple example of this PDCA cycle. We have seen that in our mobile industry, in our IT industry, in our manufacturing industry. We are saying that new products have some features, some other benefits that are not covered and not included in previous, you can say that, previous model or previous product. So this this PDCA cycle is also implemented in manufacturing facility as well, because if you are producing a single product for a customer, so what how you can reduce its cost, you can implement by PDCA cycle. How you can improve its customer cycle time, how you can reduce the manufacturing time, how you can minimize the wastages. So there are multiple tools that we are using in our manufacturing industries and manufacturing processes. But PDCA cycle is the holy the concept that you can adopt multiple tools in this cycle and uh, get the result whatever you want. Either you want to reduce the manufacturing cost, either you want to reduce the defects or customer complaints, or any other factor, challenging factor that organizations wants.
Okay. Thank you, Puram, so much for sharing this. Valorie, I would like to ask you that you must have worked first with so many organizations over the past years, and you have obviously implemented these solutions as well. What do you think are the main do's and don'ts when you are implementing continuous improvement in the organizations?
So basically, I think you first have to develop the objectives and have them set out annually. Having those objectives also being sustainable, where they're smart, they're actually obtainable instead of being so hard and difficult they can't be completed. Understanding the barriers of those goals, like what are some problems that the employees are going to have to overcome and accomplish in order to complete those goals and objectives. And your goals, they need to run horizontally when we talk about the organization. So instead of them running down, where we have them come from the CEO to the VPs to management to the employees, we needed them to have them horizontally so that we can have cross-organizational standards set for those objectives, so that sales, so a objective can be completed in sales, to quality, to production, to marketing. Everybody has an objective towards those goals, not just one single set of goals towards the sales, goals towards quality, goals towards production. We need to have those goals in a horizontal direction. We also, we have to have sufficient resources. I know that Shayla has been talking about this, having the resources to be able to complete all of our tasks and objectives. Like Sheila said, make sure that we have the quality and the right manpower to have those goals completed. But it's not just the manpower. We also need to make sure that these people have enough time in their jobs to complete these goals. Also, they need the resources of equipment, to tools, to whatever they need, whether it be computers to software. They need to have everything to be able to complete these goals. Also, we need a project management system so that we can have detailed information set out of who is doing what, when it needs to be completed, how it needs to be completed, what are the roadblocks currently being faced, and how we can set those up and complete them. I kind of recommend also having somebody objectively set up towards a project manager, or towards making sure that these goals are completed throughout and they manage this themselves. Communication of the goals. I think once they are set, that they need to be communicated throughout the organization, so that every single person knows and understands the objectives and how their job it goes towards finishing those objectives. So if you hire somebody new, you have to understand this is our culture, this is what we are. These are our goals that we see in 3 to 5 years. Oh, and this is your job, and this is how you're going to be able to help us along the way to complete those goals. Also, Mohammed had talked about PDCA and how that needs to be implemented into the do's and don'ts of implementing your goals. And also we need to look at Kaizen. Kaizen is basically your daily activities that help reduce or remove waste within an organization. And we can see that if we implement 1%, do one change a day, which could be added up to 1% per day, and we work 265 days per year, that after a year's time, we have 265% improvement as well. So we need to make sure that that as we have our implementation is set, to make sure that we have daily small tasks that need to be completed as well. Shayla?
Yeah. Okay. So what do you like? We understand that you have shared some do's when we are implementing the continuous improvement. What is one thing that you would like to highlight that's a big don't, that that shouldn't be whoever is implementing continuous improvement should make sure that this is something not to be done while implementing it, which might nullify the effect of implementing it, or which doing that will actually not give much advantage of implementing this CI. Is there anything of that sort?
Going over making sure that if it's not sustainable, it's not going to be completed. Is one thing.
Okay.
That's about the biggest issue. Yes.
Okay. So when we are talking about continuous improvement, now we have talked about the strategy formulation, we have talked about the manpower planning. Khurram, I would like to ask you if you could share with us that how continuous improvement can be implemented in the manpower planning, like how this can help the manpower planning people in the organization, so they share so that they save their time and they don't incur much of the cost, and the planning should also be done in a limited time frame which gives them the best results. How we can implement this in manpower planning?
Actually, manpower in manpower planning, we can incorporate the lean 7 wastages. There is 8 wastages in lean manufacturing, and in one waste is manpower waste. Means motion waste. There is 8 wastages, that is time wastage, inventory wastages, motion wastages, manpower wastages. So we have to calculate the required manpower for required job, and the required job is actually on number of minutes. For example, there is a shift have 500 minutes per shift. So we have to calculate that manpower that we have assigned for this particular job is fully, or you can say that 70 to 80% utilized to this particular job. So if it is not utilized up to 80% or 75%, we have to allocate some other tasks to that manpower to get the result, to effectively utilize, to effectively calculate the manpower for that purpose. So it is very important that we have to do the time and motion study before fixing the manpower. Time and motion study is one of the key tools to help you how many manpower you need for that particular process, and then how you can lean the processes. It is very important that you have to uh, focus that number of motions, number of movement of workers, number of uh, other activities that animals are doing, like material placement, material stacking, instrument handling. So these type of all these things should be calculated and should be monetized before manpower finalization. So we can use lean, considering lean wastages by uh, by allocating or by finalizing the manpower first.
Okay. Thank you, Khurram. Valerie, have you, in your overall experience working for the organizations and as a consultant as well and as an employee as well, have you seen the improvement? If you could share with how in implementing continuous improvement in this planning process of manpower has actually helped the organization save maybe saving a lot of cost, maybe saving a lot of time, and anything that you have seen implementing it have helped them achieve the main objective of planning quite efficiently as a result of implementing this? I think your mic is mute. Valerie, your mic is mute.
My apologies. All right. So whenever you have these implementations towards your goals and the objectives, it allows the organization to know the resources and decisions. And once everyone knows exactly and understands their roles and objectives towards the overall objective, then it makes it easier for them to do their duties as well as make well-informed decisions. And so in doing so, it allows necessary for to allow implementation towards Kaizen as well as PDCA during their daily work. So they are able to actually increase productivity, increase quality, decrease safety hazards, and be more aware in general. It allows better leadership towards each other, not just at a management level, but it allows individuals to actually enjoy what they do as they work, because then now they're able to make decisions onto what they do on a daily basis. It gives organizations to be more organized, organizations who develop and maintain a good discipline. They are actually more organized. And it also helps them in advantage towards market trends. It allows them to react quicker to market trends that are actually happening. And in doing so, when you have lower, when you are able to produce more and you have lower quality issues, and when you ever have higher safety, you actually start increasing your revenue, and you're able to increase your product developments as well, because now you can get it to the market quicker. So your revenue starts to increase in your organization.
The continuous improvement, I think let's ask Khurram that Khurram, we are going to talk with you about the BIT. Like, you first share with us the 3 top benefits that we get when we implement this continuous improvement, followed by the implementation phase. Like, what do you think, who needs to implement this? Do we need to have like a team of professionals who are going to implement it, or it's kind of a framework which, you know, you can teach to the line managers and head of the departments in an organization, and then they can cascade down those techniques in their departments and divisions, which will help them implement it. And also, like, what do you think is the timeline? If the audience wants to know, then what is the timelines for implementing it? Is it like it takes maybe a month or so, or it depends on the project, or it depends on the department? Like, what's the minimum and the maximum time period it can go up to?
Actually, this is question depends upon the nature of the organization and how many manpower you are working with, how much manpower. So it's depends upon the organization. That's 3 months to 6 months, 1 year, whatever your goals, whatever your objectives have been, and what are the targets you want to achieve by this. So this is totally depends upon the nature of the organization, and it also depends upon the, how your management are committed. Usually, management focus on some key projects, and these types of projects are lagging and struggling due to some various reasons. So again, it is committed by top management and the middle management that have been totally responsible and for execution, for smooth implementation. That's it.
Okay. Valerie, I would ask you that with so many projects you have handled in the past, what is the top 2 or maybe top 3 or top 1 project that you would like to share with the audience where you implemented this continuous improvement cycle? What was the department? What was the division? Was it overall in the organization? And it was like it gave the maximum benefit to the organization, and maybe like from 50 lakhs to it reduced the cost to 30 lakhs, or maybe the time frame initially when they were doing it, they were taking maybe 6 months or a year, but with this improvement cycle implemented, they were able to do it in maybe 2 months. Anything that you would like to share on this note?
So yeah, absolutely. So one of the earliest projects that I have completed is working in a boat manufacturer who made pontoon boats. And basically there was a bottleneck in the process which prevented a manufacturing of at least 2 boats per day. So what we did was we basically went into the operation. We worked with the people on finding out what the real problem was. We ended up taking down a mezzanine during the process and putting up lifts to help pull furniture up into the boat instead of actually having people pick up these heavy, large pieces of furniture and putting them in the boat. And in this process, we were able to not only add 2 additional boats per day, but we were actually able to add an extra one. So instead of going from 8, we went to an 11 boats per day process, and without adding any additional people. We did add a small amount of capital into that investment, but it did actually pay off. The quality went up because we actually ended up adding additional quality check on some conditions that we had seen that were major problems. So our quality of the boats actually went up as well as the safety, because now we don't have employees lifting heavy furniture up over into a boat. So that is one of my earliest projects that I have done.
Okay, that's so brilliant. That's wonderful. And I think with this experience of yours, I think this brings us to the end of discussion. And if we wrap it up, I think whether it's continuous improvement, whether it's manpower planning, we agree on this agenda that whatever we need to implement, we need to start off in a very strategic way, in a very proper planned way, right? Um, what do you say, that like we have agreed upon that it has to have, the company has to have a proper strategy in place by setting up the vision, the mission, and then the goals, what you want to achieve, cascaded down to the short-term and long-term objectives that the organization is looking to achieve. Because again, whether it's the planning of the manpower or whether it's the improvement that you are targeting to bring about in the organization, if the top direction is not clear, or if it's not communicated properly, then it's extremely difficult to implement any of the solutions for improvement. Am I right, Khurram and Valerie, if we are agreeing on this? So it's the top thing, the strategy, if it's not revisited again from time to time, and especially post pandemic, when the world has become so dynamic, everything is going digital, and the changes are coming into the market in every respective field so rapidly that if we don't adapt to the changing environments, we are definitely going to fade away as an organization. And I think as an employee also, we would not like to uh, work for an organization that has faded away. As a consultant also, I think an organization which is already fading, we would not like to work for it, rather than an organization who is up to date, who is innovative. For them, implementing such thing will be, you know, not only enjoyable, plus it also adds a lot of value to the organization. So we to wrap it up, we say that at the first we implement the strategy by deciding onto a vision, mission, and objectives. And then we talk about the manpower planning, how it needs to be done effectively, including the taking the strategy into line. And then we talk about the benefits of it, so that the recruitment team is on the same page, where it has the planned and budget for the entire year, and where they know that which position needs to be filled, and then they don't leave the positions vacant for a long period of time, along with finding a right cultural fit, because you would not want to hire somebody who's not a good cultural fit of your organization. And then when we are talking about improvements, again, we need to see that what is the nature of the work, what are the goals and objectives, and how things can be put into place timely, so that they bring about not only improvement, but they improve the quality as well, they reduce the time as well, they reduce, I think, the cost as well. So whatever we need to implement, we need to make sure that we start off properly, and we should go about in a properly planned direction. So that brings us to the end of this wonderful discussion. I hope people who are watching us live and people who will hear our recording will definitely benefit from this discussion. And this is at the end, I would like to share this. These are the email addresses of myself and Khurram and Valerie, where you can approach us individually via email for a one-on-one session, or for a company presentation, or for a group presentation. We are all three available on our respective email addresses. You can always have an appointment. I have given a link also for booking an appointment online with me. So that's it. Thank you so much, Valerie. We are so honored by your presence, with your wonderful insights that you have shared with the audience. And I'm sure the audience, when they will hear the replay, they will also definitely enjoy. And they will see that what little things we usually ignore are the ones to be taken care of properly. Do you agree?
Yes, thank you for having me, Shayla.
No, not at all. It's a pleasure. And Khurram, what would you like to say?
Yes, Shala, actually, we have a question with Valerie.
Okay.
That Mr. Faisal has been asked a question. What you are suggesting is that every company should be PQIT. So Valory, your expert answer is required for this question. So
I had to look that up because I was not aware of the car company. But let's say we can replace that with Toyota. It's a company I am familiar with. No, your organization does not necessarily have to be like another organization. Your plans and standards, they have great amounts of resources, tools, but your organization is going to be completely different than any other organization based on factors such as your market, the people you hire, the culture that there is, your country. Everything is going to be completely different. You can't have two organizations the same. But I would recommend it definitely to use resources and tools that other popular organizations use, especially whenever they are very high into their markets. So remember that your goals and objectives are individual to what your organization needs to be, not what another organization's plan on doing for themselves.
okay, Mr. Faisal, hope that this is somewhat clear. You what are the what type of manpower you what question you have asked. So you can ask this question in person with Ms. Valory, and we will also let you know by studying what are the right answer for this.
Mr. Faisal, is it clear, or you would want to clarify something on this?
Yes, it's okay. Mr. Faisal confirms that this is
okay. Okay,
Thank you,
it's okay. Thank you so much for being a part of this online webinar, Faisal. It's a pleasure having you, and it's a pleasure that you were listening so thoroughly that you had come up with a question and clarity in mind. So that's great. And I think this brings us to the end. I don't think there is any other question. Is there any other question for him? Can you see?
no, I think
that's it. So thank you so much, Khurram, and thank you so much, Valory. It was really nice having you. And we hope that we continue to bring improvement by such webinars in the future as well. And we give those improvement goals and the strategy planning goals to the organizations and to the individuals as well in the market. So I hope they benefit from the experiences. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.